Hello there, welcome to the very detailed Kassadin guide for Season 10. If you want to skip certain topics, timestamps are in the description and shown in the video now. Kassadin is a mage champion in League of Legends and was released quite in the early stages of the game in 2009. Just like 10 years ago, he's still the most intimidating anti-mage in the whole game. First of all, he's a melee champion, which is quite rare for mages, but as well as that sounds, his laning phase is due to the fact that he's a melee fighter not the best in the game. His passive Void Stone makes him permanently ignore the unit collision, just like the Summoner's Bar Ghost, and gives him the ability to reduce magic damage by 15%. His next ability is Null Sphere, which is a target-able spell with a cooldown of 9 to 11 seconds, going down with levels put into the ability. It deals damage with a good 70% AP scaling and gives him a great magic shield, which shines when playing against other mages. His W is called Netherblade, and basically strengthens your basic attack with base damage and scaling. The active part of the ability strengthens his next auto attack even further, counts as auto attack reset and has an astonishing scaling of 80%, and on top of that, it restores a chunk of mana when you hit someone. His next ability is Force Pulse, which is an 80% scaling area of effect ability which slows people up to 90% when maxed out. His ultimate ability is called Riftwalk and is very unique to Kassadin only. It basically is a flash with a fairly low cooldown and it deals AoE damage. What runes should you take? I've tried out a lot of runes and experimented with many different ones. So you can either decide if you want to go for a defensive or an aggressive playstyle. For the defensive part we got Fleet Footwork. Long time it was the to-go rune of Kassadin, but with the nerfs on the ability power ratio it got, you're not forced to go Fleet Footwork every game anymore. It is really good for poke matchups. If you watch as your enemy team come and your lane enemy, and you see yourself getting poked a lot, you should consider going Fleet Footwork. The precision tree offers a lot of good choices in runes. I can recommend those. Fleet Footwork, Presence of Mind, Legend Tenacity or Legend Clarity, and Cup de Grace. You might go Triumph as well, but personally speaking I can't recommend it because Presence of Mind is just way more powerful and shows more actual impact in the game, at least for me. For the second row you normally go Legend Tenacity, which is kinda a budget Mercury's because it gives you 30% tenacity when fully stacked, which isn't bad at all. If you have to play against next to no CC or special matchups, for example Azir, Fizz, Kayle, Orianna or Talia, you can also take Legend Clarity. It helps you with fighting these champions and split pushing with a bonus attack speed. For the last row you can take anything of your choice, but I tend to use Cup de Grace for 100% of my games because the numbers suit Kassadin the best. For the secondary rune pass you can combine it with anything you want, it is totally up to your personal preference. If you rather want to go for Sustain, you can go into the Domination tree with Taste of Blood and Raven as Hunter, or into the Sorcery tree, which grants a lot of utility and also damage, as well as raw AP. You can also choose the Resolve pass, which is very good against poke combined with Fleet Footwork. Opinions really differ here. Some people tend to use Shield Bash together with Bone Plating, some use Bone Plating with Overgrowth. It's up to you, and your enemy is what you take there. I use the Sustain page in nearly all cases. You can also go Grasp of the Undying if you play against melee matchups, since you can proc it quite often. But personally speaking, the damage you deal throughout the game feels really underwhelming and not rewarding at all, since you have to wait for a period of time until you can use your rune effectively. The runes you're taking when you choose Grasp of the Undying are totally up to your preference, and should be used according to your enemy champions. However, there's one matchup where you out-win easily if you take Grasp, and that's Talon. From top to bottom, you will nearly always be able to use Grasp effect. Shield Bash gives your Q at least some value, better some than none. Bone Plating makes sure that every 45 seconds he can't one-shot you, and Overgrowth gives you extra tankiness the longer the game goes. Domination secondary is self-explanatory, and double armor for more tankiness. Now for the fun part, the aggressive rune, Electrocute. You have quite some options when you look at the Domination tree, since a lot of these runes actually suit Kassadin well. In the first row you can decide between Taste of Blood if you want to have some health back when playing against poke, and Sudden Impact if you feel like punishing people more after you did your Riftwalk due to the increased magic penetration. In the second row you can basically take what you want. Zombie Ward is great, Ghost Poro can be used at deep ward into the jungle, and eyeball collection is good if you seek for a lot of kills. For the last row, you rather go Ravenous Hunter for the healing, Relentless Hunter if you like to have some more movement speed out of combat, or Ultimate Hunter if you want to reduce the R cooldown even further. It's totally your preference. For the secondary path, you literally are forced to go Precision with Presence of Mind and Cup to Grace. Of course you can choose other paths as well, but you will have guaranteed mana problems if you do that, especially in the late game and in teamfights. For the small customizable stats, I can recommend taking Adaptive Damage, again Adaptive Damage, and Armor, if you have to play against AD champions in the lane, or Magic Resist if you have to face an AP opponent. Now that we got the rune covered up, let's get into Summoner's Breath really quick. Flash is a must-have without any doubt. Now, for me, a TP with Fleet, because you go for a scaling-oriented playstyle, and Ignite with Electrocute, because you get so much more kill pressure from that spell, and it helps you getting several combos off with Electrocute. More on that in the combo part of the video. Now you're standing near the shop, and you're not sure which item to buy at first. It's up to you, but all depends on the enemy you're playing against. If you play against champions that will poke you quite a lot, you can go for Corrupting Potion or Doran's Shield. If you have problems against AD champions, you can also double the Cloth Armor and 4 health pots. You can also be the classic mage and start the game with the Doran's Ring and 2 health potions. The last option is rather used for smurfing, or if you're sure that you won't get poked hard at all. If you start with Dark Seal, the last option, be sure to combine it with a refillable health potion. Believe me, you're saving so much gold from the health potions, which you don't need anyways. Kassadin is a wonderful champion, without any questions, but there's one thing he's usually bad with, and that's laning phase. You always have to expect your laning phase to be awful as fuck. That's why, while going to your lane, look at your enemy laner carefully. Think about his abilities, and how he maybe plays a lane to get an advantage over you. Should you consider focusing more on the game than usual, so you can dodge some damage with a magic shield while pressing Q? Is he going to push in you all day and try to poke you on the turret? Will he try to freeze and set up a gank for his jungler? Think about these things really quick before the minions come. It will be so much easier for you to win the lane, if you know the winning conditions from your enemy laner, so you can play exactly against that and counter his strategy to win the lane. You might think that it's hard to rethink that over and over every single fucking game, but let me tell you one thing, if you don't do that, chances are high that you will have a really difficult laning phase. With the right combination of runes and starter items, you can usually get through the laning phase pretty easily, although it's not guaranteed to be easy. You need to learn the art of trading as melee against usually ranged matchups. This is quite personally speaking now, but I'm applying this in any of my games and it works out very often. Every person playing League of Legends will get used to his or her very own playstyle. Either quite aggressive, which can be good for you, defensive, which is even better for you, because it 99% guarantees that you will get through the laning phase without any major problems occurring, or a mixture of both, which isn't good for you. If people can play aggressive and defensive in laning phase, it's better for you to stick to a defensive orientated laning phase and go for the minions until you hit level 6. Someone is an aggressive player? That's okay. Try to find out which abilities you are able to dodge, and which abilities you're fine with getting the damage, but with a magic shield from your Q. Someone is a defensive player? That's wonderful. You won lane. Congratulations. Basically, your first goal as Kassadin is to survive the laning phase at any cost. That's very important. Your second goal will be very simple, yet sometimes hard to reach. Hit level 6. Kassadin has a bad laning phase, yes. But when you hit level 6, near all negative things about laning phase will literally vanish. You may ask now how. That's because the enemy can't really punish you anymore. If you go for that one minion, auto-attack it. Chances are high that the enemy will continue with her playstyle. And let's say he gives you some poke or one auto-attack, so you get punished for taking that minion with an auto-attack. You can literally, and yes literally, just give him a Q, R onto him, get an auto-attack off and press W for the sweet auto-attack reset, and finish that with your E. With only 74 AP, which is easily obtainable at this point. For example, Darkseer and Blasting Wand with Fleet, or Darkseer and Amplifying Tome, and another Amplifying Tome with Electrocute. You deal 762 damage from your abilities and the auto-attacks alone. If you're playing with Electrocute and Ignite, you got another additional 263 damage. Combined, this is 1025 damage when you hit level 6. The average HP is around 1000 at this point. If they want to punish you once, after you hit level 6, you can just R onto them and pull this shit out. It will scare the heck out of them, and you can play really aggressive after this point. Disclaimer, I know, I haven't included armor and magic resist in that calculation, but now imagine you can have more R stacks, and they deal more damage per stack. What I'm basically trying to say here is, you are able to completely one-shot people as Kassadin after you hit level 6. Yes, that's scary, it really is. After you got your Riftwalk, Your goal is to surprise the enemy with attacks like these, and if they begin to play safely, knowing about your damage output, the laning phase is going to be an easy one. Rod of Ages. Kassadin can use every single stat out of this item, the health, the mana, and the ability power. The only problem coming with this item is the lack of damage in the early game, but you will be rewarded with a lot of sustain due to the passive from said item, and tankiness with the health, and the combined survivability with fluid feet. I can't find words for how good Archangel's stuff is on Kassadin. It grants him 50 ability power, 1400 mana when fully stacked, which is a lot, and 20% CDR. For the passives of this item, it gives ability power equal to 3% of your maximum mana when fully stacked. This sounds meh, but let me elaborate this for you. Rod of Ages gives 400 mana, fully stacked Archangels gives 1400 mana, Lich Bane gives 250 mana, together with a base mana of 1536 at level 18, at a fully stacked Presence of Mind, you have 4086 mana. 3% of that is 123. 123 ability power, together with the normal 50 of this item, is 173 ability power, just from this item alone. Sounds crazy, right? It's not even over yet. You refund 25% of your mana spent. The strategy around my Kassadin playstyle is to deal damage with the ultimate, with Riftwalk. You can stack it often, but with every stack the mana cost double. This is 800 mana per Riftwalk when fully stacked, but 25% of the mana is refunded. Means that you only spend 600 mana. Imagine being able to jump 6 times with Riftwalk through Summoner's Rift, dealing 1311 damage with every jump. At level 16, full Ghost Poro stacks, Sorcerer Boots, Zhonya's Archangels, Rabadon's Lich Bane, and a Rod of Ages, and an Elixir of Sorcery, without any Fire Drakes or Baron buff. On top of that, it gives you a shield you can activate. You can consume 15% of your current mana, and that's used to give yourself a shield from those 50% mana consumed. I call it a free barrier every 120 seconds. This item, as you can see, is very broken on Kassadin, and I will always recommend you to buy that. Next one, I've already mentioned it, Lich Bane. Do you like auto attacks that completely crush your opponent and let him overthink his entire life? Then Lich Bane is your way to go. Just to give you a small piece of the cake. In late game, with full item build, you can just W your opponent and deal 1644 damage with ease. Just an auto attack, nothing more. Of course no armor and magic resist included. Also this item grants 80 ability power, 7% movement speed, 10% CDR, which is important, I'll get back to that later, and of course 250 mana. It helps you with pushing, killing opponents, and with your elo. Here's a clip that shows you how brutal the damage can be. Now we got our Rabadon's death cap. I don't have to say anything here, or 120 ability power, and it passively increased your ability power by 40%, which is huge, if you take into consideration that our beloved Archangel is able to give us 173 ability power, and that is only one item. It is expensive, but worth the price. Next is Zhonya's Hourglass. A situational item of course, but in my opinion, the higher the elo, the more necessary it becomes. 75 ability power, 45 armor and 10% CDR. As I said now, the CDR becomes important, since we have 40% CDR with Archangel stuff, Lich Bane and our Zhonya's. Why is this important in ass whooping? Well, at level 16, your R has 2 second base CDR. With 40% CDR, that's 1.2 seconds. Nearly one Riftwalk every second. That's absolutely dumb. But now for Zhonya's. Invulnerability and being untargetable for 2.5 seconds is wonderful, isn't it? You have this every 120 seconds. Of course you can move, attack and cast spells or use items during the time you're in stasis, but it's still worth to buy this item, especially in teamfights. Boots are very easy in my opinion, since it's a choice you can make by your own feeling. If you have to play against many auto-attack based champions, go Ninja Tabis of course. If you find yourself struggling against your lane opponent, who's a mage and has a stun or a CC in general, go for Mercury Boots. If none of this really apply to your opponent or yourself, you can go with the Sorcerer Boots. Now for situational items. Mage's Soul Stealer. If you're ahead and feel like you can shit on your opponent, go Mage's Soul Stealer. If the enemies buy huge amounts of magic resist, go for Void Stuff. If you have to play against a mage who utterly destroys your entire team, or an ability that is very hard to dodge, go Banshee's Veil and the head is over. Last one is Morella Nomicon. It gives magic penetration and Grievous Wounds whenever you inflict magic damage to an opponent, which is very good in some cases, especially if the enemy team has champions with a lot of healing, for example Yumi, Soraka or Vladimir. For the skill order, you will always go Q into W into E, and then E max, then Q, and at last W. If you're struggling with some mage enemies, you can put 2 points into Q, or 3 points into Q, and then max E to dodge more damage with your magic shield. If you're against Tanon, we already discussed the runes you go into him. For the skill order, it's E max into W max, since Q doesn't help you at all, and you don't play with Presence of Mind, thus the extra mana you get back from your W is really helpful. Now for the roaming part. I've told you earlier about the wrist walk, and it is of course a wonderful ability when it comes to roaming and especially chasing your opponents when he wants to help other lanes. But there are a few things to keep in mind when you want to think about roaming. First one is, never roam before minute 14, unless the kills are guaranteed. The platings, the gold and the experience you get by the time the enemy roams will be 100% guaranteed, and for sure much more worth than a single kill or even a double kill granted to the enemy laner after he roams successfully. Don't understand me wrong, it's not like I don't want you to roam, but before minute 14, please think multiple times about the worthiness of the roam before you go, because platings, gold and experience are 100% guaranteed if your enemy laner is away from the lane. After minute 14, there are a couple of things you can consider before making the decision to actually roam. Look at your enemy top laner or at the enemy bot lane. Are these guys killable? Will your team be able to prepare the roam correctly? And after you killed them, what are you going to do? Always think about these things before roaming. It will make things so much easier for you after you have certain goals in your head. Now coming to objectives, this is rather a personal opinion and not really helpful at all, but I'm going to include that anyways. So the order of the objectives should always be Nexus inhibitors, turrets, dragons, Baron and the Herald. The Nexus, of course, for the game and the LP magic. The inhibs give strong pressure plus the Yikes minions who destroy everything in their way. The turret gives strong pressure without these Yikes minions. The dragons, well, Kassadin can do so much with drakes, more than other champions in my opinion. The ocean drake really helps regaining HP during fights. The cloud drake gives more ult CD, which offers more ulting and fast jumping. The mountain drake gives insane survivability, and paired with the ocean drake, this is really broken. And Inferno Drake, well, it gives AP and 80% roll. I don't have to say anything here. The Baron, of course, is important, but I will always do a Drake rather than a Baron, because the Drakes are permanent. The Baron is only for 3 minutes. Only do the Baron if you need it, if you can finish a game quickly. If you have to take it because the enemy team is already strong or something. And the Herald, well, that's just me. I'm insanely bad at playing around the Herald. Forgive me there. Lul. Never heard of this? I'm going to explain it. But first, the next points will be split into Fleet and Electrocute Kassadin, because both have their different ways to be played. As Fleetfoot work Kassadin, you will always go bot or top after you hit level 11, +/-1. It will apply pressure on the enemy team, because you are able to kill their enemy laner or laners, and you have TP to join fights. Plus, if you're going bot lane, your bot lane is going mid lane, and force the enemy mid laner into another playstyle. Mostly very defensive orientated. You won't go for split push though, because the damage on turrets won't be good enough. Just kill the minions and look for other opportunities to get experience. However, if you're overfed, go fight or go split push. As Electrocute Kassadin, you will mostly go top or bot for the same reasons, except the fact that you will only take the minion and then look for a fight immediately. You will never split before Lichbane, promise that to me. If you can, ward the following areas for protection of enemies when you go to side lane. This applies for boss playstyles. And you continue with this pattern until you hit boots plus 2 items. After that, it's going to be a wild mixture of team fights and split pushing. I'm going to cover split pushing first because it's way easier than team fighting. Remember when I said your damage isn't enough for split pushing? Or they just forbid you to split? Well, fuck this now, be free, enjoy the breath of fresh air. Turrets will fall within 2 minion waves. Enemies will be scared for their lives of their objectives. The apocalypse is nearby. Well, I'm over exaggerating here. But basically, you deal a heck ton of damage to turret inhibitors now, which makes your ability to split push shine, especially when the enemies are not sure whether to send people or not, because 2 minutes ago you were dealing 0 damage to their objectives. The warding spots will be the same, but the deeper you go, the more you have to move these spots for your own safety. Coming to teamfights, I'm assuming that you already gained some experience playing Kassadin, because it's get a little bit chaotic now. Your main goal should be to kill the enemies who are the biggest threat to yourself and your team, which is usually the enemy backline. The side backline, however, is sometimes very hard, if not impossible to reach. If you're playing Fleet Footwork Kassadin and you don't have Sonya's Hourglass, drop the big 5v5 teamfight and continue splitting. Your team won't have a reliable damage output and the survivability needed to surpass the enemies in such a fight. However, for Electrocute Kassadin, you will try to kill the enemy, who is the biggest threat, because you're able to one-shot them, except if it's a tank. Even if you trade 1 for 1, if you took down the hardest enemy, your team will usually win the fights. If you're the most fat though as Electrocute Kassadin, you have to skip these big fights as well, because if you get catched, the enemies can push hard or maybe end the game. Just continue splitting, just like Fleet does, if you're the most fat one. Of course, sometimes you have to fight, even if you don't have Sonya's. Sometimes you have to fight, even if you're the most fat one, and splitting is the best option for you. If that's the case, concentrate while going to that fight, and try to make the best out of the situation. You will still have the same goals, killing the backline or the biggest threat, but you just have less tools to work with. The better you are as Kassadin, the easier it is going to be to win these clutch game-changing fights. Now there might be some situations where you're thinking back and forth, should I go help my team or is splitting the best option? I can't say this for every state and situation in the game, but in solo queue, splitting will nearly always be the right decision to do. Even if your team loses the 4v5 situation, the enemies might be alive with 3 people and they're able to take down the inhibitor, but you got at least 1 turret and a lot of solo experience, which we need for the almighty level 16 power spike. The moment you hit level 16 in the game, it's going to be ridiculously easier for you to carry. That's your time to shine. Go bomb their backline, heck even the front line won't stop you from pressing R every single second. After you hit level 16, you will join every fight, regardless what playstyle. And don't forget to always focus the biggest threat. This is really important. Keep that in mind. This is pretty self-explanatory from the split pushing and teamfight sections. You pressure with split pushing while helping your team when it's needed. After level 16, you actively search for fights. Upon acing the enemy team or taking many members down, you can try to end the game with your team or take the Drake or take the Baron. Always be aware of this. There are only a handful of champions that are able to outscale you at some points. You won't lose the game if you don't end after winning a close teamfight. If it needed reset, go back, buy items and do the same thing again. No need to rush that. Another thing, after level 16, your ability to split push will spike insanely hard. I know that I said go and search for fights, but especially when the enemies try to go for a Baron or an important Drake. After level 16, you can just go split if you don't like to fight. For example, if your flash is on cooldown, and you have the feeling that you might need that against the enemy champions or the enemy team in general. Turrets will fall really fast, and inhibitors as well. Even if the enemies will kill all other members of your team and take the Baron or the Drake, they have to go back and reset after that, or else you will finish the game before they do. And if they are only sending 2 people back, while 2 are pushing further, you can fight these 2 without a problem. Of course, this one was quite situationally, but I hope you get my point there. I'm only going to include matchups that actually happen, and not something unusual like a Draven mid, which you're going to encounter in 1 of 1000 games. This list is sorted by alphabet, so if you're searching for a specific matchup, you don't have to search 10 years for it. Aatrox 6.5. Don't get hit by W and you will be more than fine. Go electrocute against him and punish him with short combos. Be aware of his Q and E combo. Ahri 4.5. A good Ahri will always harass you often with auto attacks. Dodge her E when you can and block Q damage with your Q. Go fleet against her. And if you still have difficulties, just rush Mercury trades against her. Akali 5. Go electrocute and QWE her when she tries to go for her Q Heroes combo. Bonus tip, You can see a white ghost when you damage her in Shroud, for example with E, Corrupting Pot, R, or Ignite, which reveals her location. Anivia, 6.5. You won't be able to kill her. Go fleet and farm as good as you can. You're going to outscale anyways, and after level 11, she's free as fuck. You can interrupt her ult when you Q her while she does so. Annie, 2.5. Q her or a minion whenever she tries to Q you. She can't burst you, and with double tenacity, you're hard countering her. Go fleet here. Aurelion, 3. Easy matchup. Go fleet and don't let him roam efficiently. If you want to fight him, just R into him, as he won't be able to deal proper damage. If he Rs, you can R in a couple of seconds again. Azir, 4.5. Farming matchup. Try to dodge his Q, and after level 6, you can go into him, if he missed his Q. Be aware of his ability to push you into his turret, with R. You outscale and you go fleet. Brand, 6. Cancel gameplay pre-6. But after that it's going to be quite easy. Dodge his Q at all times and you're going to win. If he hits Q, you're mostly going to lose the trade or the fight. Go fleet. Cassiopeia, 8. Good Cassiopeias will be a pain in the ass. If she's very aggressive, go 450 gold, magic resist, into Catalyst, and you should be okay after that. Be aware of her W, since it won't let you ult or flash. Go fleet. Diana, 7. Same as Brand. Dodge her Q and you will win. If you don't, she's probably going to win the fights. Be careful of long fight due to her passive. You can go Electrocute or Fleet Footwork in this matchup. Echo, 4. Q when he Qs. Be careful of his W. You always see when he activates it. If he goes into Fog of War, he will mostly throw a W, so be careful there. Go Electrocute as he won't be able to outdamage you with short combos. Fizz, 2. Q when he E's onto you, and R away from a shark and you'll auto-win easily. Go Fleet with a Clarity for the best winning potential against Fizz. Galio, 5. Farm until level 6 and don't get hit by an E if possible, as he will full combo you upon hitting that. Go Fleet and outscale him. Heimerdinger, 4. Really cancel pre-6? Ping your jungler away and fight him when you have Catalyst or Rod of Ages. Go Fleet here. Irelia, 1.5. Play pussy until level 3. Dodge her E's and you auto-win. Go Electrocute here. Be aware because some Irelias tend to go press the attack over Conqueror. Don't fight her at full stacks and E her under your turret. Jace, 7. Start Cloth Armor and 4 pots and rush Arm Seekers into Rod of Ages. Go Fleet and naturally outscale him. Katarina, 2. Be careful of her early game damage. After level 3, you can go for small combos which trigger Electrocute, and after 6 you auto-win. If she ults, R away or interrupt her ult with your Q. Kayle, 4. Go Fleet and outscale her. Her ult costs 100 mana from level 6 to level 11. Look for that to punish her. After Rod of Ages you can easily fight her. Don't forget a Clarity here. LeBlanc, 3. Go Electrocute. The only thing you have to do is outscale and press Q, W plus right click on her when she is going for a QW combo on you. Finish off your combo with an E and you will always win. Lissandra, 4. Go Fleet and outscale. The lane can be hard because of her poke. Dodge her Qs with your Q and you should be fine as she can't one-shot you. Be aware of the combination of her CC and the enemy jungler. Lux, 6. If she has barrier, you probably won't be able to kill her. Press Q when you can't dodge her E, and be careful for her Q. It will root 2 targets, don't forget that. Go Fleet. Malzahar, 4. E has Voidlings and you're fine in this lane. Be careful of his R plus the enemy jungler. You can interrupt his R with your Q, so keep that in mind, especially in teamfights when he doesn't R you but a teammate of you. Neeko, 8. A good Neeko will be horrible pre-6. Try to dodge as much abilities as you can. It will get easier once you have Rod of Ages. Go Fleet here. Short reminder, her ult is useless, as you can easily R out of that. Orianna, 7. soak her QW combos with your Q and aim to get as much minions as you can. After Rod of Ages, you can easily ult into her and fight her. Don't forget to go Fleet and Legend Clarity. Pantheon 9.5. OG, extreme hard matchup. Go Fleet, Coloss 4-pot, start, and Seeker's first back. If he W after level 6, ult as he tries to stun you. After boots, Rod of Ages, Archangels, and the Seeker's Arm Guard, you're outscaling him. Kiana 7. Wait for your level 3 and don't fight her before that. Be aware of her route and do a short trade to outdamage her. Go Electrocute and double armor. Especially if the enemy jungler is 80 base as well. Rumble 3. You won't be able to kill him. Go Fleet, outscale and fuck him after you got boots and Rod of Ages. Spam ping your team a lot, because he's going to roam a lot with his ultimate ability. Rise 5. Farm lane and you will be able to punch him after Mercury's and Rod of Ages. Go Fleet here. You're going to outscale him, don't stress yourself. Sylas 2. Dodge his E and second Q explosion and you win the lane easily. Go Electrocute into him and wait for his magic shield to expire before going in. Ping your jungler though, that you won't be able to have priority till level 6. Syndra 9. Horrible lane, go Fleet. Dodge her Q damage with your Q and try to get as much minions as you can. After level 11, you will automatically win and outscale her. Consider going Corrupting Pot into Darkseer for sustain or Adoran Shield. Talia 1. Dodge her W and you win the lane. Go Fleet, don't forget the Clarity, and go in after level 6. With the movement speed from Fleet and boots you can easily dodge her W, even if you're on top of her. Talon 5. Go the Grass Rune page mentioned before and play safe until level 6. You should be able to win against him after you get Seeker's Arm Guards. Spam ping your team as he will roam a lot. Tristana 8. I go Electrocute here and punish her after level 6. But it's a very hard matchup, so start with Cloth Armor and 4 pots, so you're able to get at least some farm. You outscale her after boots, Archangels and Lichbane. Twisted Fate 2 and 8. If it's APTF, you're winning easily, and the difficulty is 2. If it's ADTF however, the difficulty is 8, and it's hard to play against him. After Rod of Ages, go Ninja Tabis, and after that you can jump onto him and kill him. Short reminder, you can interrupt his ult with your Q. Go Fleet. Veigar 3. Dodge his Q Harrows with your Q, and be careful of the cage plus the enemy jungler combo. After level 6 you can just jump to him and kill him. Go Fleet. Vel'Koz 7. Horrible laning pre-6, but after 6 you should be okay. Save your Q as you can interrupt his ult and be aware of the amount of true damage he's able to deal. You outscale hard because of your ult CD. Go Fleet. Victor 5. Dodge his Q and E damage with your Q and just farm up. Go Fleet and outscale him. After 11 you can jump onto him with ease. Vladimir 3. Be careful of his empowered Q and go Electrocute. If he does one step too much forward you can give him a short combo and after level 6 you can perma jump onto him. Be careful of the enemy jungler while doing so. Serad 2. Dodge his Q ability by separating you from the minions, so you have to decide what to take. After level 6 you can jump onto him. Go Fleet and interrupt his ult with your Q. Yazoo 5. Play pussy for 3 levels, and after that just give him an E. Auto attack a W whenever he tries to go all in. He will lose the fights if he's in the minions. Go Electrocute and always respect him. Zed. I can't give you any infos here since I perma-banned that one going mid lane. Sorry for that one. 6. 4. Dodge his Q with your Q and try to get as many minions as possible. After level 6 you will be able to punish him properly. Go Fleet and outscale him. Zoe 6. Dodge her Q with your Q, dodge her E at all costs and you're going to win. Ult to the spot where she casted ult and as she will 100% return to that point. Go Fleet as you're going to outscale her anyways. Alright guys, welcome to the combos and tips part of the Kassadin guide. This is going to be a one take part, whatever, so I'm not going to read from the script. Alright, the combos. This one is for fleet footwork, but all the other combos can be used for fleet and electrocute. So I'm just going to include the first one with fleet, and we'll need to stack our R. Alright. So when we're in lane phase with fleet, we E the enemy when he hits an auto attack on a minion. So he gets slowed. So we E auto attack W, and then we go away with the movement speed from fleet. We press Q whenever he does a spell or at last to block some magic damage. So this one was for fleet, and the rest is for boss. So the next one is going to be Q into E when they attack a melee minion, and W at the back off. This is for electrocute. This is more or less the same combo, but basically a little bit faster, and because you don't have the movement speed, you need to do the combo a little bit faster. So what we do now is we do QE, W, and back off. So because of the slow, he can't chase us, and we get the damage really quick, the surprise combo. The next combo is Q, flash, auto attack W, and ignite. So what does this combo do? If the enemy is low life, and let's say you're low life as well, but you can kill him, and you know you can kill him. You're just faking that you're attacking a minion, and then you Q, flash, auto attack W, ignite. If the enemy is smart or clever, or in general has good timings, good mechanics, then you can skip the first auto attack and just press W, because it deals more damage, in case he flashes. Alright, the next combo is going to be Q, flash, oh wait, no, that's, oh, we did that right now. So the next combo is R, flash. So we don't flash R. Alright, this is not what I mean. We press R, and when you see, if you look at my cursor right now, when I press R, you see Riftwalk, right? And this bar, basically, while this bar is loading, you press flash. So we press R flash, and put the cursor where we want to be. That's pretty easy, right? This is one of the combos that the enemy, they don't expect it. Let's say the enemy is here, taking the minions, and you have a 400 ult, and you see him there, you can R flash him, and do the other spells. Alright, the next combo is going to be a full damage combo if they can see you. What you do then is R, E, auto attack, W, and Q. And the full combo when they can't see you, you're leaving with 2 stacks, with 2 E stacks. And the combo when they can't see you, it's going to be basically the same, but with the E first. What does it do? Basically when the people run into a bush or go back in spots like these, then you can walk onto them and just R second and E first. For more E stacks after that. So if it's a Syndra or someone like that who does a combo, or Oriana who just does Q, W, and E to shield herself, then you're getting your full E stacks again. So you can E afterwards again. And as you see, I don't have any CDR, so the E CDR is 5. The 5 TD is really good. And if you want to run away, he's slowed anyways because of your first E. And then you have an E again after 5 seconds. So now we have surprise burst combo. Let's put it here. So let's say this guy did Rift Herald, or he went top lane to roam, or he helped his jungler doing his red buff because the jungler is inting. Who knows, right? So what we do now is we don't have to charge the W first. I always do it when I'm rift walking. But basically, we stack our E now before we do it. So what we basically do is Q, we charge W R, auto attack was a W, and then press an E, and ignite, of course, if you play electrocute edit if it needed. So we do this. There's also another addition to this combo, which is basically if the enemy is basically close to your wall where you can jump, then you can actually, to even pull out more burst, you can QE while the Q is flying and auto attack him. This gives the most DPS possible. I'll do it once more. This is really good if the enemy is, let's say you're low life and you're running away from an enemy, and let's say the enemy is here and you walk away from him and you're already at this point, right? So what you can do then is, if the enemy stands here and let's say you want to flash you can just do this. It's the most damage possible in the least amount of time. The most damage would be like ignite him. But yeah, and the last combo is going to be the surprise burst. This is basically the same combo but with the flash. So what we do is, first we charge our E, and then we ult flash, auto attack W, EQ. So we ult flash, auto attack W, EQ. Ult flash, auto attack W, EQ. Of course we can ignite him if you want to. But this is basically the most surprising combo. Even if they see you, they don't expect you to get a lot, like over this range. This is a lot of range to get through. I'll do the combo once more. So we press R flash, auto attack W, EQ. R flash, auto attack W. Well, I didn't do the auto attack, but you get my point. And we can ignite him if we want. Or we can do this combo with Sleet as well, of course. You can do every combo with Sleet and electrocute. Doesn't change it. Alright, now for some tips. The first tip is a turn back. Why do I call it a turn back? Let's create a situation like this, where you're chasing an opponent. Let's say, for example, this is your mid laner. Let's say this is a Syndra. And let's say this one is a Twitch jungle and a Syndra mid lane. And you're chasing the Syndra. Let's actually put her here and the Twitch here. Or no, even better, Syndra here, Twitch here in the bush. So we know that we can't get the Syndra. We don't have flash ready, we don't have E ready. We can't get the Syndra. So what we're trying to do is, as we're chasing the Syndra, the Twitch is going here, and we're facing this direction, but all behind. So what happens is, the Twitch thinks that you're chasing the Syndra, and they can crush, because they have the same thought. They want Twitch to crush on Kassadin, and the Syndra attacks me, together with Twitch, to kill me. But what I'm trying to do is, I'm looking at the Syndra, walking to her while I'm doing this. Of course an E. It's missing there. But you get my point. This is the turn back. Now, we have the juke. The juke is basically, let's take for example the enemies here. We put a ward here so we can see it. This is the Orianna. We boss are low life. This Orianna is going back under turret. You're taking the minions, or she's not going back under turret, but let's say she's just waiting there. You're taking the minions, and then you're walking up to the turret and just ult here in front of the turret. So what happens? Orianna thinks that you want to dive her. So let's just put it in the perspective of the enemy. There's a Kassadin who just put you very low, and he's walking in front of you, turret and ults. What she maybe thinks is that I'm going to ult to her, because the ult still has some animation. If I ult onto this point, there's a 2.5 seconds. Wait, no. 0.25 seconds delay to your ult. So in this 0.25 seconds, the enemy might think that you're ulting to him, even though you don't. You're just walking to the turret and ult on the same spot. And the enemy might use flash, the enemy might even use ult. Let's say Orianna, for example, she used ult. It can be. there's an 80% chance that this is happening if they have this up, which is going to help you later, of course. The third tip, is dump Yazoo. So Yazoo players are generally dumb, right? So if a Yazoo is standing here, and let's say your jungler is here, it's a Lee Sin, and he's currently taking the Crux, not the Crux, the Scuttle Crab. Then he maybe wants to gank here after the Scuttle Crab. So we have Yazoo and Lee Sin here. What we're trying to do now is we bait out the wind wall. How do we do that? We go to this Yazoo and just E him. Just because we did an animation, he thinks that might be my Q. A lot of people still think up to this day that skilling Q on Kassadin is more worth than E, but it's not. So he maybe activates his wind wall, which has a lot of cooldown. It's over 20 seconds, and Lee Sin can gank after that because Yazoo has nothing to block Lee Sin's Q, which is really good. And the last tip I'm going to discuss here is going to be the caster minions. What do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, we have these items. These are our starter items, right? And then we go back and we purchase 2 amplifying tomes and boots. Okay, let's just purchase this. The boots are really random, we don't need that. But let's just say we purchased this one. After a good laning phase to level 6, we didn't kill anyone, we just found really good. So the caster minions are attacking the turret now, the enemy caster minion, and your turret, if he attacks the caster minion once, with these items, that means 40 AP from double amplifying tome. Or if we're playing Fleet Kassadin, we go Blasting Wand. So it looks like this. And then what basically happens is the caster minions, because it scales with your W, are going to die with 1 auto attack. So 1 turret shot, 1 auto attack, and the caster minions are dead. As long as you keep that in mind, it's pretty easy to farm on the turret. Especially after hit level 6, of course, after the first backboard. Alright, that's it for the combos and tips. Well, that should be it for now. If I forgot to cover something up, please write a comment. I'm going to read all of them. If you enjoyed my Kassadin guide, then be sure to leave a like. If you want more videos like that, subscribe to the channel. It's free and helps me a lot. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.